Hi, my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in this video I'm going to show you a skincare routine for acne scars, keeping the main focus towards the ordinary products. Now, I'm not talking about physical scars, but those red or brownish spots which you can get after your acne is already gone, something like this. And this usually can heal on its own. However, this sometimes can take a bit longer than you may want. And so you can try to reduce it or speed up the process with specific skincare products. And so based on that, I have prepared for you example skincare routines so that you can see the order of application and the products that I've picked. Plus, in those PowerPoint slides, you can find a detailed description of each product that I have picked so that you understand why it can be beneficial for your skin concerns. And you will find everything in the description box down below. You can go over it in your own time and even download the slides. And then later on, I want to share with you the entire application. So let's get started with the example morning skincare routine, which you can see right here. On the top corner, you can see the time of use. Below that, the steps. Underneath the products that I've picked already in the correct order of application. And below the boxes, the overall general guide of how much you need to use. So we're going to get started with the first step, which is washing your face. Now, this can be with a gentle cleanser that's suitable for your skin type. You can see some examples right here. Or if you should have dry skin, then you may just want to wash your face with lukewarm water. Please avoid using hot water. But in general, it should be able to help you to remove any excess oil, dirt and sweat from the skin. So wash your face, rinse it off, pat the skin dry. Then we're going to add hydration to the skin to keep the skin moist with the ordinary marine hyaluronics. So apply it to the skin, leave it on the skin, there's no need to wash it off. And then afterwards, we are going to use a brightening serum. Now, this can be the ordinary ascorbyl glucoside solution or niacinamide. I recommend using one of them to keep the routine as simple and short as possible. Then apply it to the skin, leave it on the skin, there's no need to wash it off. Those are specifically brightening serums that can help you to lighten the dark spots so that it looks more even with the rest of your skin tone. And then during daytime, it is especially important to follow with sun protection, not only to protect the skin from the damaging UV rays, but because you have already surface hyperpigmentation and you do not want to make it darker or let's say the overall situation worse. So therefore, sun protection during daytime is key. Now, when it comes to an evening skincare routine, again, you're going to get started with washing your face using a suitable cleanser. I highly recommend using a gentle cleanser specifically because we're using a leave-on exfoliant in that routine. So if you should use a chemical sunscreen or maybe a mix of chemical and mineral like Cosrx Always Soothing, the one that I've used in my example, this one comes off quite easily and you can do this with your regular cleanser. However, if you should wear a mineral sunscreen like NIOD Survival or maybe some heavy makeup or pigmented makeup that you cannot properly get off with your regular cleanser, I recommend doing a double cleanse or just using an oil balm cleanser on its own to properly break everything down before moving on to the rest of your skincare routine. Nonetheless, after you're done with your cleansing step, you can move on to your exfoliant. And so here I picked ordinary glycolic acid or lactic acid 5 or 10%. Now, glycolic acid is a bit stronger than lactic acid, so if you're completely new to this, you may want to start off with lactic acid. However, if you are already familiar with it and you may know that you tolerate glycolic acid, then you can go with this one. This helps to loosen the dead skin cells on the skin surface. Since you have already surface hyperpigmentation, this can help you to shed it off to lighten it over time. So apply it to the skin, leave it on the skin, there's no need to wash it off. And then after that, you're going to add again hydration to the skin to keep it moist with the ordinary marine hyaluronics. And then you can follow again with a brightening serum. So niacinamide or ascorbyl glucoside solution. Apply it to the skin, leave it on the skin, there's no need to wash it off. And then in the evening, if you should feel the need, you can add a moisturizer afterwards. You can see some examples specifically with the ordinary natural moisturizing factors, which helps to strengthen and rebuild your skin barrier, or NIOD's hydration vaccine. Same thing would apply to this one. And they are suitable for all skin types. And then again, apply to the skin, leave it on the skin, there's no need to wash it off. And so this would be the overall example routine that I want to share with you with the entire application as well, so that you can see this visually. But again, I want to remind you, you can find all the PowerPoint slides in the description box below. Now I have the entire setup right here, and I'm going to go over the steps like individually so that I can share with you what's important to keep in mind when applying it to the skin and how much you need to use. And I'm going to kind of merge the morning and evening skincare routine into one routine in general so I can go over each step. But I recommend splitting it up because mainly that it feels comfortable on the skin, because if you would use all those products in the same routine, this may feel a bit too heavy on the skin and may not feel that comfortable because you're using just too many products. So therefore I just split it up into a morning and evening skincare routine. So again, we're going to get started with the first step, which is going to be your cleansing step. Again, when using the exfoliant in the same routine, work with a gentle cleanser, so a non-exfoliating acid cleanser. And so I have my examples right here, and I'm going to use a Cetaphil's Daily Facial Cleanser, which is suitable for combination to oily skin. If you should have a different one, replace it. Just read on the back of the packaging on how you should use your cleanser. Usually, your regular cleanser should be used on wet skin, and then you're going to rinse it off with water. With oil or balm cleansers, they usually advise to apply it on dry skin and then rinse it off with water. So keep this in mind. And you can do this above the sink or in the shower. Either way is fine. Just make sure to properly get everything off the skin. So here it is advised to apply the cleanser to wet skin, so that's now what I'm going to do. Every time you're using water to wash your face with a cleanser or without a cleanser, I recommend using lukewarm water. Please do not use too hot water, because then this may make your skin even drier and feels irritating on the skin, but lukewarm water is just fine so that it feels comfortable on the skin. So let's go ahead and do this. Then go ahead and use about 1 to 2 palms, so about a coin-sized amount of cleanser on the palm of your hand. Rub your hands together and then gently massage it all over your face and neck for about 30 seconds to a minute. And make sure to not get it into your eyes nor into your mouth. If that's the case, please rinse it with water. So, and now go ahead and again rinse it off with lukewarm water to warm water. Now when taking everything off the skin, trying to use your hands, especially when doing this above the sink, this may not be enough. So there's always a bit of residue of your cleanser left. And so this is where I always recommend using a makeup cloth. Those microfiber cloths, those are extremely soft but extremely effective in removing any last traces of cleanser, sunscreen and makeup from the skin, so that you can properly get everything off the skin before continuing with the rest of your skincare routine. So in between, wet it, then squeeze it out and then gently swipe it across your face. Now wet it, squeeze it out, and now this is going to help you to take off any residue by gently swiping it across your face and neck. So now you can go ahead and take a clean towel and gently remove the remaining water drops from the skin surface by patting all over. Please do not rub. This is an essential step to do in between so that you won't come across pilling or a dry and tight feeling, because if you're not going to properly remove the remaining water drops from the skin surface, you're going to mix the serum with the water and then this starts to dry and feels tight afterwards. Plus, when layering other serums on top of it, you're going to basically remove the first serum from the skin, and this causes the pilling. So please keep this step in mind when doing this in between. So once you're done with your cleansing step, you can immediately move on to the next step. So again, during daytime, this would be adding marine hyaluronics to the skin and then your brightening serum. In the evening, you would use an exfoliant. Now you can theoretically use your exfoliant in the morning or evening, as long as you're using sunscreen during daytime. However, it is advised to use it in the evening, and based on my experience, it may also work the best because sometimes you may create like a stinging sensation when working with your exfoliant and sunscreen in the morning together. This may not have to happen in your case, this is just my experience. Therefore, I recommend just using it in the evening. And so what you have to keep in mind is how often you can exfoliate your skin. This is fairly individual since not everyone has the same needs of like exfoliating the skin that often. So to figure this out, start off slowly by using it once per day, 2 to 3 times per week. Do this for a couple of weeks and then slowly increase the frequency over time to see what works best for you. Please do not use it daily immediately, especially if you're being completely new to exfoliating acids in general. Now I have both examples right here, the ordinary glycolic acid toning solution and lactic acid. Which one you're going to choose, either one is fine. Lactic acid is a bit gentler than glycolic acid. And please, one thing that I need to emphasize is do not use it on extremely sensitive skin because then you may come across as stinging and burning. And so other than that, it's fine to use it. So as an example, I'm going to use the ordinary glycolic acid toning solution. One thing, one change, and this is how you're going to apply it. Now, of course, you could apply it with a cotton pad. Dispense it on a cotton pad. Make sure it's slightly damp, but not dripping wet, and apply it over your face and neck. But you're going to waste quite a lot of product. Therefore, I recommend using it with your hands. So if you're using the ordinary glycolic acid toning solution, go with about 5 to 10 drops. And if you should use lactic acid, go with about 5 to 8 drops. Now start off with 5 drops, see how this goes. If that's already enough, then there's no need to add more drops to it. However, of course, you can always adjust it, but I wouldn't use it I wouldn't use more than that, otherwise it may become extremely sticky and smeary on the skin. You should be able to apply it all over and it should be able to properly absorb into the skin. Please make sure that it's not going to sit on the skin surface. When doing the application, please avoid the eye area, so do not use it on top of your eyelids. Do not get it too close to the actual lower lash line and avoid the eye contour. This is where the skin is the thinnest and the most sensitive, therefore it is more likely to cause stinging and burning, plus it may get into your eyes. The same may happen if you're going to apply it too close along the nose. May not happen for everyone, but if you should come across sensitivity, avoid this part, and maybe on the corners of your lips or like the entire lip itself. You may want to be a bit more careful around that part. But other than that, feel free to apply it all over. Then rub your hands together and blend it all over your face and neck. So once I've applied it all over your face and neck, you're going to leave it on the skin and there's no need to wash it off. It is a leave-on exfoliant. And so after that, or during daytime alone, you now would move on to your hydrating serum, which is the ordinary marine hyaluronics. And so that one purely adds hydration to the skin. It has a very lightweight texture, so when it comes to the amount of product that you would use, it's pretty much the same as you would use with glycolic acid or even lactic acid. So 5 to 8 drops, 5 to 10 drops. Now start off with 5, see how this goes, and if that shouldn't be enough, you can always add more. Again, make sure that it is able to absorb into the skin, because as an example with now glycolic acid, since I just used enough for my face and neck, it has already absorbed pretty fast, so it's not really sitting on the skin surface. It does not need a long time to absorb into the skin. The same would apply to marine hyaluronics, so it should absorb pretty fast into the skin when doing the application. And because it has such a watery texture, again, I recommend following the same application as I just showed you with glycolic acid. The difference is, since marine hyaluronics is purely an hydrating serum, you can use it around the eyes. Now still make sure to not get it into your eyes, not into your mouth, but you can use it all over because there aren't any issues where you have to be careful with. Rub your hands together and evenly blend it all over. So once you're done with the application, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And again, it absorbs pretty fast, so you can immediately move on to the next step. However, if you should feel the need, you can always wait about 30 seconds to a minute in between and then move on to the next step. But the waiting time isn't really necessary if it has already done this in a faster time than that. But then the next step would be your brightening serum. Now remember, I did say for the morning as well as evening, it's basically up to you which one you want to use. You can use niacinamide in the morning, your ascorbic glucoside in the evening, or the other way around. I just recommend keeping the routine as simple as possible so that you're going to reduce the amount of serums that you're going to use in one routine to make sure that it's not going to feel too sticky, heavy, or smeary on the skin. And so now I'm just going to follow with one of the serums. So if you should use niacinamide, because it has a thicker and stickier texture, use between 2 to 3 drops for your face and neck. If you're going to go with ascorbic glucoside, that one has a thinner texture, more runnier texture, and so there I recommend going with about 4 to 6 drops. Now start off with 4. This may already be enough for you, but you can add a couple of drops more depending on your overall skin and how fast you can blend it all over. Now with the application here, you can apply the drops on the palm of your hand, fingertips, or immediately on your face, and then start blending it all over. Then rub your hands together if you're applying it with your hands, and then blend it all over. If your serum should start to foam, don't worry, that's normal. So once you're done with the application, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And now if this is going to be your evening skincare routine, you can follow with a moisturizer afterwards if you would like to, that contains natural moisturizing factors to rebuild and strengthen your skin barrier, such as the ordinary natural moisturizing factors or Neo's Hydration Vaccine. Those are 2 great examples. Now when using your moisturizer, since you have already layered more than one serum, I recommend using a pea size amount, not a bean size amount. A bean size amount is fine if you just have 1 serum and that's it, or 2 serums that absorb quickly into the skin, but the more you're going to layer, you need to adjust the amount of each product, otherwise it may be too much when applying it to the skin. And so this is now the case with the example routine that I've just shared with you. Therefore I'm going to go with the ordinary natural moisturizing factors and using a pea size amount to apply it all over my face and neck. So about that much, more or less. Rub your fingers together and then evenly blend it all over. You should be able to blend it all over, but it should be an extremely thin layer. You do not need a lot of product. And so once you have applied it all over your face and neck, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And then this would be the example skincare routine for the evening. However, again, during daytime, it is important to follow with sunscreen. Now, keep in mind that I just emphasized earlier that you would split it up into a morning and evening skincare routine to use less product so it feels the most comfortable. And so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to merge them together. This is something that I wouldn't usually do because it can feel a bit heavy on the skin, but I still want to share with you the application of the sunscreen, since this is an important point to emphasize and to show you the application because you're already battling with surface hyperpigmentation. Therefore, sun protection during daytime when being exposed to the sun is essential, so therefore please don't forget this. And so with the sunscreens that I can recommend, this would be Cosrx or Neo's Survival. Either one of them is fine. I like both of them. They feel extremely great on the skin and give you the desired protection. And so I'm now going to go with Neo's Survival to keep it into the DCM range, but of course if you should have a sunscreen that works well for you, feels comfortable on the skin, well then go ahead and exchange it. But one thing that won't change is how much you're going to use. And this is for your face and neck, including your ears, use about half a teaspoon. If you're going to include your décolletage, like if you have more décolletage exposure than I'm currently having, then go with about 1 teaspoon. This sounds like a lot of product, and this may be for some people and depending on the sunscreen that you're using. But this is an overall general guide to give you an idea that you need to use a fair amount evenly and properly blend it all over. This guide can be adjusted. If you say, well, I'm ending up with too much product or I have such a thick coat of sunscreen on my face, it does not feel comfortable, well then of course go ahead and reduce it. But please do not just use that tiny amount of sunscreen for your entire face and neck to protect your skin. And so go ahead, grab your sunscreen. If you should have the one from Niot, well, I recommend giving it a good shake with the usual gels or creams. It may not even be needed, but giving it a shake isn't really wrong. So go ahead and do so. I have half a teaspoon right here, so I can share with you the amount. And I'm going to dispense some product onto the spoon, so that you can see how much this would be. So you can say more or less about a good coin size amount, like really a fair amount. And when I'm going to dispense it now in the palm of my hand, it looks like a larger coin size amount. And so then go ahead and gently and evenly blend it all over your face, neck, and maybe décolletage as well. You can use your sunscreen around the eyes as long as it's not going to irritate your eye area. If that's the case, I recommend avoiding it. Use sunglasses instead, or you may want to switch to a different sunscreen that you can use around the eyes. So, and once you've applied your sunscreen all over, you're going to leave it on the skin. There's no need to wash it off. And then this is going to be the last step in your morning skincare routine. Now, this is the video that I want to share with you so that you have an idea of how you can set up a skincare routine for your acne scars. Remember the red and dark brownie spots, not physical scars. And that you have an idea of how you can work with this product. So create a morning and evening skincare routine that can help you to target those concerns, but at the same time keep it as simple as possible. Now, of course, if you would like to learn more about skincare in general, and you may want to see a double cleanse, I'm going to leave the videos at the end of this video, but you will find, of course, more of the skincare videos on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check them out. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give the thumbs up as well as share it, and I will see you soon in the next one. Happy skincaring. Bye.